Hey, everybody, welcome back to the 6-5 Summit. I'm Daniel Newman, one of the hosts here at the 6-5, and I'm excited to bring you this day one Connected Intelligent Edge Spotlight session with Mr. Shaun McCarthy, a veteran and alumnus of the 6-5. Shaun, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, Daniel, how are you? I didn't realize I was a veteran. I think it's year two, but I appreciate that.
You've been on the 6-5 three, four, 5 times. You're a veteran of the 6-5 Summit, but you're a veteran, you're an alumnus, you're a multi-timer here on the 6-5. And you are also the guy with the best hair in the industry. But my vote, by the way, in that particular category counts a lot less than how I feel about 5G, IoT, or the metaverse, Shaun.
Well, I'm feeling old with now that you said I've been on here so many times, but
Don't let it
appreciate
age you. Don't let it age you. This, you saw this event has a monster group of speakers, thought leaders, some of the biggest names in the industry. And you, as president of Nokia here in North America, Shaun, you're doing pretty big things yourself. And I want to talk to you about your vision around 5G, IoT, the metaverse. I know the metaverse, please hold on, everybody. We're talking industrial metaverse. We're talking about the part of the metaverse that's going to actually have big implications here with Shaun. And this is something I've been on the record saying a number of times. So, first and foremost, Shaun, let's just start with your big macro view. You know, this event was all about navigating rough waters. We're talking about maybe a more challenging economic period of time, but we're also in an era of very exciting growth. We're seeing 5G proliferate. We're seeing the edge in the data at the edge growing at exponential rates. We're seeing IoT helping to provide insights that drive analytics, AI, tools, technologies. What are you seeing? What's the macro view across 5G and IoT, Shaun?
really we're living in some pretty interesting times. I don't think there was a playbook on how to navigate, the pandemic, the supply chain crisis, inflation, all the incredible crazy things, a war in Europe, just a lot of things happening at the same time. And some of these words you described, 5G and IoT and metaverse, they're kind of dirty words in the valley right now in a lot of ways, because I think people are a little disappointed, and maybe it's because things were overhyped, but I actually think we're living in an incredible time, especially when you think about innovation. And it's actually not the technology that's so mind blowing to me; it's the pace of innovation. So I see you every week on TV talking about AI and generative AI and Chat GTP, and I mean, that launched what, end of last year, so like 6 7 months ago. This technology went live, and it's completely revamped every business, everything across the planet. Every company is looking at what that means to their business, and that's happened in such a short period of time. And actually, I think we're about to hit an evolution of a really rapid cycle of innovation, driven by 5G and IoT in the industrial metaverse. So while some people feel like these things haven't lived up to the hype, I feel like the time is really coming now, where all the pieces and parts are coming together, and we're figuring out how to actually drive the outcomes that we've been talking about for so many years. So I'm really optimistic about where we're headed. And like I said, we're working with a lot of companies today. Really, I describe it as it's this fusion of physical and digital world, right? So there's this digital physical fusion that's coming together, and what that allows you is to sort of close that loop with human augmentation, or in some cases with software automation as well. But what you do is you create an environment where you have the ability to sense, right? So we're sensing, we're building that digital world, we're thinking, right? That's the edge compute and sort of the analytics and the AI, and then we're acting, right? And that acting can that's where the loop gets closed, and that can happen from an automated fashion, or the acting can happen with human augmentation. So that's where that metaverse aspect of it comes in. So I think we're living in a really exciting time, and I think the pieces and parts are really finally coming together.
Yeah, Shaun, I love that you said that. I'm a big advocate for a number of industrial use cases for the metaverse. I've seen it in action. I've seen how it can help create more productivity on manufacturing floors. I've seen how it can help employees train and learn. I've seen instances with autonomous, data replication where you can test and you can build products and you can run them through paces. shorten cycles of engineering and innovation to launch new products into market and design cycles. I think there's a lot of applications. I think we got a little bit confused because of that meta company and kind of that whole vision of, are we going to be swimming in the social universes? Because I do think, Shaun, what's going to happen is we're going to see our heads go from kind of down to up. This is what I really think about. I think we're going to start to see more devices that are going to put screens in our peripherals, and we're going to start having more of these kind of physical digital interactions. But just the shift from the pandemic of going back out and being at events and being together and seeing that we like to travel, we like to have meals together, we like to go demonstrate products together at events, we like to travel, and we like, as humans, interacting with humans. And so while there is a partial opportunity to say, let's all get in a room together on a pair of goggles and design something, what I see more likely is we're going to say, hey, let's go to a meeting, and maybe you wear a light frame glass where you can be chatting to somebody and they can be showing you something, and you're sharing a screen as a peripheral while you're physically in the same space. And that's the kind of stuff you're doing.
Yeah, we see there as being three distinct metaverses, and you're right. I mean, I think the consumer metaverse is the one that most people think about when they think of metaverse, because they think about Zuckerberg and they think about Meta and they think about this futuristic world where you're hanging out in a lounge in a virtual world. But we see there being a consumer metaverse, an enterprise metaverse, and then this industrial metaverse. And so the consumer metaverse, that's like Patrick Moorhead's house on a Friday night. They're putting on VR goggles. They're playing Dance Dance Revolution. By the way, there's like a lot of really cool things that are going to come out of that. Maybe you're doing fitness classes at home. There's probably a lot of really cool things that will come from that. But it's overhyped, and it's probably the least of the exciting ones. The enterprise metaverse is really around collaboration and simulations and learning. And actually, I was thinking about this the other night, because I don't know about you, but like, I like to torture my kids by making them watch old movies that I watched growing up. And so the enterprise metaverse is kind of be like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure coming to real life, where you're learning from these historical figures. So who knows, like 100 years from now, maybe there'll be an AI Daniel Newman,
Sooner
teaching
than
the
that.
history of AI to kids in 100 years, right? And it's sort of a hologram version of you. But it's sort of this concept of really, really, truly immersive learning, immersive collaboration. And again, I think there's a lot of pretty cool use cases for that. But the industrial metaverse is where we're going to rethink the way we operate industries. And we start talking to people in these various industries, manufacturing, of course, but everything around every type of plant, every type of mine, every type of ports where we need to orchestrate things. Some of these industries, they haven't changed the way they build products, the way they operate in like 35 years. And just think about how much technology has changed in 5 years. But like
Like
35,
6 months.
yeah, 6 months, exactly. It's so 35 years, they haven't changed the way they operate. And so that's when you come in there and you say, hey, what if everything is a sensor, right? What if everything is a sensor and I have a digital, copy of everything? And what if I have this compute power where I can process all that data and I can build applications and analytics? And then how do I close that loop, right? How do I close that loop? And to your point, maybe I close that loop with human augmentation, where I have someone that has, light frame AR glasses with instructions on how to modify the equipment. Maybe there's a hologram overlaid on top of the equipment itself, so I can see exactly where I turn it. I get notified when I've sort of turned that bolt to the exact torque. And this is happening. By the way, I haven't said like 5G once, right? What's happening is you can only do this, with this network, right? With this network that can be secure, that can be reliable, that has milliseconds of latency. Because some of these things, if when you don't respond to that sensor triggering something, lives could be at stake, right? So things can get very, very dangerous in some of these plants when you look, and so that's where things have to be like rock solid in terms of the network. And so there's a tremendous amount of use cases. It's going to really change the way industries are run and operated, and it's way overdue if it's been 35 years in some of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And your CEO did a really good job at the MWC Nokia strategy session talking about that. I really enjoyed kind of seeing how you parse it, and that's kind of also how you're able to manufacture a market. Because I think what ends up happening is, because we overgeneralize, right? Like, all AI is not Chat GPT. All metaverse is not, socially drinking coffee, you know, in some app. And so there's so many use cases. And so by kind of creating these three segments, I think you did a really good job of redesigning. You know, uh, Shaun, one of the things I think that also helps the market appreciate the development of a new technology like metaverse is being able to provide real world examples. I'd love to hear from Nokia kind of what you can share about real world use cases, or examples even, of these metaverse deployments.
Yeah, no, we've got a lot of real world examples. So we have, at the end of the day, these all start with private network deployments, and we have, several hundred production private cellular deployments across the globe. And it's still early days of the market, but to give you a sense and scope of the market, well, I'm talking about, several hundreds of network deployments. This market, this entire metaverse economy is predicted to be between 8 to 13 trillion dollars by 2030. So it's going to be this enormous market. And then the other sort of sense of scale to give you is today the traffic from the industrial metaverse, it's like essentially zero, right? And what dominates mobile traffic is, mobile video traffic, right? So by 2026, the traffic from the industrial metaverse is predicted to surpass that of mobile video traffic. So this thing is going to be a hockey stick, and it's going to come out of nowhere. But we've got a bunch of real world deployments, and I'll share you maybe one detailed one. But just to give you a high level, we're deployed in ports where everything needs to be orchestrated, because in ports, like, time is literally money. You cannot afford seconds of downtime. So we got private networks deployed in ports. We're deploying networks in mines, and I'll give you a different mining example, but the traditional mining example is around allowing the machines to be operated remotely. And that has huge productivity as well as huge safety benefits, because, it takes like an hour to get, a mile into the ground and a mile over to the machine just to get in it and start operating it. And B, obviously, there's a lot of risk when you're putting a human that far, that deep underground. So we're doing a lot of in mines. We're doing all the things you'd expect in factories and warehouses around things like, AMRs, autonomous mobile robots, AGVs, automated guided vehicles, and then some of the augmented reality applications as well, where you kind of get a bit of a heads up display. But I'll give you an example. A real world example
Yeah.
is, in mining, we're working with a company who builds these incredibly long, uh, incredibly hardened conveyor belts for mine. These conveyor belts, Daniel, are like 2 miles long,
Wow.
right? It takes like over a year to build the thing. So you got this like 2 mile long conveyor belt. And then when this thing is running, there's all kinds of, issues that can go wrong. So predictive maintenance is a really, really important thing. So we have a use case where we have drones that are deployed, and these drones are live streaming video feed right over the private network to edge compute. On the edge compute, we've got software applications that are doing, machine vision analytics, right? So basically, video becomes the sensor. When I say everything is a sensor, it's not necessarily like a little button that does, checks the temperature. Video is a sensor. So we have machine vision software that's going through the video. It's analyzing the video that's coming in live from these drones. It's keeping an eye on infrared and all kinds of other things that it can notice to determine maintenance, heat challenges, right? And then when there's an issue or something that needs to be resolved, that triggers to a human to go, and that human has augmented reality with data about the conveyor belt. So it's this completely closed loop where, how else would you know when and where to go and, get ahead of this maintenance issue before a fire breaks out? Because that's what'll happen if these things overheat and something gets jammed. You find out too late. So it's a really cool use case that kind of touches all the pieces I described, where you have sensors, you're sensing, you're thinking, right, with the software, and then you're acting with the augmented human interaction, right? So really cool use case. It's like the possibilities are endless when you think about those attributes, right? I'm sensing, I'm thinking, I'm acting. And what can I do with software in a robust network that allows me to make millisecond type decisions.
So we have a couple minutes left here, Shaun, and I want to talk about one of the thoughts of the day as it pertains to for 5G. It's
Yep.
monetization.
Yeah.
So we all know the improved performance. It's been something that's been promised. I was writing the year of 5G back in 2018, 19, and here we are in 23, and we've definitely seen big movement. We've seen improvements. We're seeing spectrum being deployed. We're seeing higher better backhaul, higher bandwidth. We're seeing some
Mhm.
new apps, but I don't know that, I guess I just say, first of all, is the industrial metaverse the killer app for 5G? And if so, um, you know, is this going to be the driver of monetization? If not, what are some of the other ways that you see 5G being monetized?
Yeah, yeah. No, listen, I think so. So I think all along we've said 5G is going to get monetized in the enterprise, and we think the industrials is that area, right, where it's going to be monetized. Because at the end of the day, um, you know, um, everything I'm talking about is really for uncarpeted spaces, carpeted spaces, IT type applications. Wi-Fi actually does the trick. So there's no real benefit to bringing 5G into the enterprise. It's really into industry, but we always say enterprise. We mean industry, and you can only do these things with 5G. So 5G is the right technology that's unlocking this. Is it the killer app? Listen, I think it's the killer platform. And what I mean by that is we need to not think about 5G as being the killer app, because no customer says, I want 5G for my mind. They say, no, I want the predictive maintenance for my 2 mile long conveyor belt that I spent, I don't know how many tens of millions of dollars on. Right. And by the way, I lose money every time it's not working. So, so it's the outcome, and it's not good enough, to ship the network. Right. It's about shipping the outcome. We just did a thing. We just announced a press release with the city of, with Belgium, not the city of, but with Belgium, and it's about drones in a box, right? For first responders, right? Like, they don't want the network; they want the outcome that you get from the drones. And so we need to be thinking as an industry, if we want to monetize 5G, we need to be thinking about the whole picture in those outcomes, not just the network. So yeah, yes, I do. I think it's the platform that we're going to build these things upon. I think there's a lot we need to do as an industry to sort of enable and make that. And I'll just say really quickly, I mean, the other sort of killer app, if you will, for 5G is fixed wireless, right?
Oh yeah,
Um, you
I was
know,
going to
I'm
say
I'm
you had to
really
mention
passionate
that.
about closing the digital divide. It's something we need to do. There's still about 100 million people in the United States, which is like a third of the US, that are either underserved or not served at all. Like 85 million of that 100 million are underserved, which means they get 100 meg or less. 15 million aren't served at all. Right. So we got to solve for that problem. And, at Nokia, we're a big player in fiber. 7 out of 10 fiber connected homes are based on Nokia fiber. We're a big fan of fiber. I personally want fiber in my house. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of locations you can't get fiber. There's, tough geographies. There's markets where houses are spread apart too far. Just time to market. You can, and fixed wireless is doing an amazing job. So we've got customers that have, continue to grow that business in a very sustainable way. So fixed wireless, I think, is going to be one we're going to continue to monetize there. It's going to solve for that digital divide, or play its role in solving for the digital divide. But the big monetization opportunity is really about this industrial metaverse. But again, it's not about the network. It's about the things that the network that we build on top of that network. And that's how we need to think about it.
Well, Shaun, I really appreciate you spending some time here. This is a big wave that continues. I know people are talking about 6G, but we've got a lot of 5G ahead of us.
Yeah.
I know people have kind of made varying declarations about metaverse, but we have a significant set of applications for the metaverse that will change a number of industries. And I know the work you're doing at Nokia is very influential. And I really appreciate, Shaun, that you continue to be a veteran alumnus here on the 6.5, and don't let it age you. It's a great platform for thinkers like you, and I hope to have you back really soon.
Great seeing you. Take care.
All right, everybody, stay with us for more day one here in the Connected Intelligent Edge track. We appreciate you. Check out all the videos. There are more. They're on demand if you can't watch them in real time. We hope to see you soon.